Um, Good morning, and we'll be back after the 30 or whenever. What's up, CDP? I see you. What's up, 420? What is up? Just trolling Jesus. What's up, Almighty Isis? Honest Roll went live last night and together with Sheffield. I saw it. I saw it. Oh, I saw it. Baby, I see what's going on in these YouTube streets. I see what's going on in these YouTube streets. Where was this? So anyway, you all, I took the day off today. I said, let me come on over. I got some rest, some much needed rest today. But I've been seeing what's been going on in these YouTube streets, and it's really been interesting. It seems like somebody is unhinged right now because their channel has been taken. And that was really interesting. And yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's going on. I did see Honest Row, and it's just a lot. Whoever that Mundan or it is, it's all good. We good, don't bother us. And like I said, I'm done with that particular person. And yeah, I really am. And when people, and let me say this really quickly before I forget. See, I stopped going over there when it was an issue of, oh, you in there, you're always bothering me. And when people embellish stuff, it is what it is. But let her do what she thinks she needs to do. I don't have any issue with her. I said what I said. I don't think I'm better than anyone. Sometimes people make wrong choices and they get the result from the choice that they make. But I go back again to say that if you ever live with your parents, then were you a loser? And there are a lot of things that if how you told it, then you would be a loser a great deal. So I just think that you got to be very careful of how you do that. Also, you know, I saw Shaky T's title. Hey, what's up, Regina? And I think it's funny because just because I've done those things and you upset about it, then that's your issue. That ain't my issue. That's your issue. And a lot of these people haven't done anything but make bad choices. And I'm being real with that. I'm being real about that. You have a man over there who's extremely upset with me. What's up, Ebony? He spent most of his life selling drugs, being on drugs, stealing, living off the system. And what does he have to show for it? Relationship wise, where are those white men that so much loved you? Where are they? And so when you really look at it, pound per pound, it's just like, why even go back and forth with someone when you know that they really wanted to do more in life, but because of bad choices and bad decisions, they're in the state that they're in now? Because I don't get government subsidies to live where I live. I take care of my own bills. I don't need government help to help me. I'm just glad that he reached, Social Security age, but I don't need to do that. I don't need to live in a extremely expensive city to reap the benefits of their generosity. I don't need to do that. So when I look at him putting all of those things in the title, where's the read? Because half the stuff that you do have in there, I've done. And so, but am I better than you? Absolutely not. Have I made some better decisions? In some areas, I may have. So, again, you all, in this season, it's no time to sit here and get upset at people when you really know what you're doing in life, when you're doing what you need to do in life. Why get upset with people? Why do all of that cursing and all of that stuff? And why do that? Even with the trolls, they come over here because they are enamored with you and they want to see you. And I'm here. I'm here for it. So it is what it is. And also putting the name in the title, you're gonna get better views than you usually get. So that's how I feel about it. But I'm good over here. And last that I checked, Vivian is good, served her country and doing what she needs to do. And really is very unbothered by that other individual. And let me say this, you all. I find it very, very interesting that people are really, truly attacking her. Now, I don't have time to attack her. I leave her the hell alone because I do think that there is some situations going on. But I did see something very messy, very, very, very messy. I don't really know who King Kyles is. I really don't. I mean, but every once in a while, a post will come across my way, and baby, he had ODS and Nika, and I guess they had said something about Ness, and that man had that thing highlighted. These girls are treacherous. That's all I can say. And again, I don't, that stuff, all of that foolishness, it is what it is. I think it's funny to me because it's YouTube. But when people think that you need them to survive or, you leave them the hell alone. Even with the numbers, long as people will come back and look at the replay, I'm good. So it is what it is. What's up, Jay Parrish? I can see you. She acts like she's a trendsetter because she's wearing shit from Fashion Nova. Okay, baby. I look. I don't go over there. I've heard a few things, and when I hear certain things, that means I need to leave you alone. So that's what I'm actually doing. It seems like Honest Row is going for the juggler. Honest Rose said, "Don't talk about my job because all you do is sit and observe." And pretty much, he was saying that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to be able to observe. So that was from Roe, Honest Roe. People are still on the Sir King. He touched me, and I heard a guy pee, and I think I like it. It was given very Katy Perry over there. So, but that's what's going on for the most part. And then, of course, ZX losing his channel and losing his mind and going off at everybody. I still haven't gone over there to look. I did hear a little bit of Binarity's commentary on today, and I thought it was funny. So, yeah. She said that she always been a step ahead with fashion. He touched me. Oh, he touched me. And oh, the joy that floods my soul. Something happened. I don't know what it was. I can't tell you. Only Sir King can. But now he knows. He touched me. My God, today. Anyway, that story is just growing legs by the hour. Because, like, how did somebody touch you? And then you was listening to something. It just don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. And I mean, and then you read somebody because they called you fat. Baby, these girls are really, really not well, but I'm here for it. I really am here for it. So it is what it is. So anyway, I did get a chance to see Honest Roll. I went back to the clouds on some of that stuff because he was really going in on Brian. What's up, the Sassy Show? He was really going in on Brian. And I'm like, damn, and Ro was like, you play these games and it does give a little Tommy and Castro. It really does, except they've never met each other. And the thing is, they alternate between the two. They alternate between the two because sometimes Brian act like he ain't doing nothing. And like Ro is the aggressor. And, so that kind of gives a Castro vibe. But then Brian acts like Tommy with this paranoia stuff. And it's just crazy. I'm like, yeah, it's really, really odd. And so that's been interesting. So yeah, pathetic fashions. That Barb sweatshirt was hideous. Baby, all I can say is Jesus wept. If you can't say nothing, just say Jesus wept. Now, Tommy's court date is coming up very soon. So get ready, get ready, get ready. It's coming up very soon. But all I can say is Jesus wept. Jesus wept. I don't, like I said, I really don't care anymore. When you get to the point where, again, you can't let people live in your head for free. And I think a lot of times these content creators are extremely gifted and talented. And you can't take that away from them. But they let people live in their head for free. And they really are concerned what people think about them. They really are concerned about that. They're concerned about a whole lot of stuff, and it shows. And, you know, everybody is a loser. But you know what gets me? I have not called anybody a loser. I've said you need to make some changes and, do some alternate things in your life. But it seems to me that if you have gainful employment, you have a sufficient place to live, you drive a vehicle, you take care of your teeth and groom, if you do extracurricular things and have discretionary income, it seems like people get upset. If you have a little education, don't take much, just a little, folk have issues. And it always comes to you think you're better than anybody else. It happens with Sassy. And I have never heard Sassy say that she's better than somebody. Now, I know Sassy carries herself in a particular way, but I've never heard her say that she's better than somebody. Never heard her say it. But it seems like the people who invest in themselves always get attacked. And I find it to be extremely, extremely odd. Dragon education is not a read. It just goes to show you that maybe you desire it, but you didn't do the right things to get it. I don't know. But I don't think I'm better than anybody. I have really said that. I think that you make better decisions. I listened to a little bit of Pizarro. And Pizarro, again, I laugh at you because I came from the hood, boo. Straight hood. Don't have any shame about it at all. I learned a lot of lessons, but I don't think I'm better than anybody else. Again, it becomes, what decisions do you make? Now, do I think I make better decisions than some people have made in their life? I made a decision not to go to jail. I made a decision to invest in myself. So just because you're investing in you and just because you have a high self-esteem, that doesn't mean you think you're better than anybody else. But have we ever looked at it and say, well, maybe you're insecure or maybe you think people are better because of this? I was listening to Brian last night and I mean, it's evident. I don't want nobody too bougie or anything. So if there's a doctor who lives on Memorial, you don't want to meet with him because he's too bougie? Or maybe it's because you don't think enough of yourself to say, hey, I'm a person and I'm an individual, and regardless of what his occupation is, I'm still a human inside and I have some intelligence and I can carry a conversation. I mean, because most people are very down to earth and practical, but they won't put up with a whole lot of foolishness. So I listen to those types of things. And I just really think that people got issues. And even with the Nest situation, I'm like, well, look, Sugar Lump, you can't be calling people losers, this, and this, because you say they live with their mama and all of that stuff. And people really got upset. I'm like, well, you live with your mama, and live with a whole lot of other people who wasn't your mama. Are you a loser? I just think that I think people may do it in the fit of anger, but even with some of her subbies and how she talks to them, I'm like, okay. And let me give you a prime example too. Because see, when I go to the McDonald's or to get my coffee or go to any place, even when I went to that store, I spoke to those people with dignity and respect. But when she went to that KFC, she spoke to that lady like she was nothing. And see, when you see it, it's the real life situations that tells a great deal about how people view other folk. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's just telling. Let me see what y'all got to say. Jay Wilson, I spoke to Castro's sister on Facebook. She's upset with Castro because he is asking the court to drop the charges against Tommy. She told him he would beat him again. Divine Light, how do we know what you're saying is true? How do we know that? I mean, that sounds very convincing. And I could believe what you're saying, but how can we believe this and we weren't there for that conversation? Yeah, how do we know that's true? Just wanted to ask that question. Let me see Brown and Baby Blue, Hello Kitty, fashions. You couldn't pay me to rock that. Well, I ain't going over there to watch. Castro, a DV victim that wants love, won't leave, but say it. True. Not at all funny. Yeah, that took self-esteem, people. It's all about how you carry yourself. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. Now, do I do some stuff that piss some people off? Yeah. Yeah, but it's not hard. It's not hard. Every time I walk through my house, somebody get pissed off. Every time I go to my college homecoming, somebody get pissed off. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't. Not an executive talking to that KFC worker in such an ugly way. Baby, I just leave it alone. It's true, Tommy embarrassed his family and wasted their money if they still laid up. You know, but these people, let me say this, you all. When people don't work when people don't work and value things, they don't value what you do. They don't value what you do at all. They don't value what you do. You know, I sit here and look and, you know, you went through all of this mess. Your parents bailed you out, got you out of jail, right? And you still bothering the person. I don't know if it's true or not if they are together. I don't know if it's true or not, but for the mere fact that you talk about the person and that you talk about the situation, it's like you don't give a damn about the money they spent. And see, this is when you have to let people be grown and grow up and figure life out. Because if you keep on holding their hands, then they will never learn their lesson. They will never learn how to be responsible. You know, when people don't consistently work, they don't know how to get to a job on time. So if they don't know how to get to a job on time, they're not going to know how to get to a court case because they don't have that. And I see a lot of that. You don't take people's money and act like what they gotta say means nothing, you know, because truth be told, quiet be kept. If I knew what he was doing and then you're doing all that, you would have stayed in jail until the court case, because hopefully that jail situation would have taught you that there are consequences to these actions. But when you're always trying to bail people out and it's not always helpful. Sometimes we think that we're helpful and we're not. It's more harmful than helpful. So yeah, my mom always said, don't tell everybody your toxic relationship if it goes But yeah, you know, I told that story about that lady. We was getting that stuff out. That man was threatening her and throwing stuff, and we moved her. And then 3 days later, 3 or 4 days later, she back with that man. All of that hard work, moving that furniture, moving that stuff, and she went right back. And I said, never again, never again. Mm-mm, nope. And so it doesn't surprise me. If they're back together, hey, they're grown men. I just think that at the end of the day, um, misery loves company, and you make decisions. And see, it's all about decisions. You make good decisions or bad decisions. And let me say this, you all. What's up, Keena? We make some bad decisions sometimes. That's everybody. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how popular you are or how pretty you are. Everybody makes some bad decisions sometimes. But what do you do? Do you learn from it so you don't go through it again? Or you just keep making the same mistakes? Or do you just give up? So that's the biggest thing, you all. It's not people being better than somebody. It's, do you learn from the decisions that you've made? Now, I'm hearing everybody say, oh, he's this. I mean, I'm a lifelong learner. Oh, I got another act up my sleeve. I'm not done, because at the end of the day, I invest in me. And I don't have to tell everybody when I invest in me, because it's not everybody's journey. But Chaplain, you damn right. You damn Skippy. I did that. And let me tell you something. I did that while on YouTube, baby. I did that. I was in that class for a whole year, and nobody knew. And I finished it because I didn't have to tell y'all nothing. I got another class that I will start in January, and I'm going to finish it. And I ain't going to say not a word, because you don't have to tell everybody what you're doing. Unfortunately, these people don't know when you have an advanced degree, you can teach online. You can teach at a community college or a 4-year institution. What's up, D. Miss O? So there are a lot of doors that are open when you invest in yourself. And at the end of the day, you can't make me feel bad because I've invested in myself. But what have you done for you? I mean, you can put a lot of goop on your face and a lot of weave hair and stuff, and that's great. But, you know, you putting a lot of stuff on your head, but what are you putting in your head? Have you done anything to advance a career or anything to, I'm just asking, because again, we act like people who invest in themselves are the enemy, and they're not. And that's all I'm saying with that. Mm-mm. I do not despise my humble upbringing at all. Don't despise it at all. I'm grateful for it because it taught me how to survive, how to be thankful for what I do have. But if it's gone tomorrow, I can always do it again. Long as I have life, health, and strength, that's all that really matters. So that's what I'm saying, you all. So I just listen to people, and when they talk, it really just shows what they're about. And I'm really not invested in these people except for my coin. I am very business. I come on here for business, not for friendship, not for validation, not for people to be loyal, but to entertain, talk my mess, click off this tip, and keeping it moving. And that's it. So, yeah. And even cutting people and fading from people. I think some people take some things really too seriously on YouTube. And I think it adversely affects their mental, um, and and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Locked and Lovely said, I'm not calling my parents for nothing, and my husband only for very few things. I'm to the point where I would almost bite my head off before I have to ask anybody for anything. I will figure it out. I will do what I need to do. Because, baby, if I come for real, saying that, hey, y'all, I need this or need this, I need it. Now, I'm not talking about banner challenges and all of that stuff. I'm talking about real life stuff. And you ain't never heard Jay Wilson ask for no mortgage money to pay for my car note. None of that stuff. Now, if you want to donate, if I go on a trip or something, you can. But if I'm going, I'm going. When I went to Virginia, I was going to Virginia. When I went to Vegas, I was going to Vegas. Regardless if somebody gave me something or not, I was going. But I do have the sense enough to know, especially being raised in some churches where some people were very unsavory. If you tell people you're going to do something, you better do it. If you say, I'm going to use this for this, you need to do it. And so, yeah. Yeah, it's some people really going through some real life stuff, y'all. And all of this stuff that people are doing on these YouTube streets, I'm just like, girl, it's really not worth it. It's really not worth all of this stuff. And like I said, even with Ness with her drive with me thing, hey, it is what it is, I like I said, I was just only interested in the Shakim thing. And so I think that has run its course. And I just said, hey, just stop calling folk losers. People will say, well, you say a lot about Rico. I leave Rico alone because Rico has some issues that he needs to deal with, and some things that have been said have been spot on correct. However, he makes some bad decisions. And what I've said is living on assistance and on SNAP ain't a flex. Leaving Maryland to go to New York because you can live off the system is not a flex. It's an entrapment. And unfortunately, when you got to ask people for cigarettes and that's not the life, because now you make the decision to do that, but you're limited to your options. You're limited where you can live. You're limited to how much you can make. You're limited to this. You got to have work requirements now or the other stuff. So people are dictating to you. I don't ever want to live life to that extreme. I don't, so, but those are the choices that you make. Now, is he a loser? No, I think he just limited his choices. And I think when you don't have emotional intelligence, it hurts you as well. When we saw Tommy call that man who had nothing to do with his firing, he was only following directions. Tommy cussed that man out. You done burnt the bridge because you don't have emotional intelligence. So it's things like that you got to be careful of. And that's all. And it's not being better than anybody. It's, again, do you invest in yourself? Are you trying to do better for you? And I don't know why telling people to invest in themselves to do something is a crime. Now, can I make people do anything? Can't make nobody do nothing. It's up to the individual. But this is YouTube. And we say what we want, right? Yep, I guess we do. I'm always right. No, I'm not. I'm not always right. But the things I've said has been dead spot on. You may not like it. You may not like what I say, but I've told you all, I'm going to ride and live with you, but I ain't dying with nobody. And so when I tell people, with the loser thing and all of that, I was spot on. I mean, because you got to look, if that's your litmus test for people being losers, then I guess you were a loser way before them. I mean, if that's the case. And I just think it's funny because do you not think it's odd that people are always trying to compete? When you get to a certain age, that shit don't mean nothing no more. I'm not trying to compete against nobody. I'm just trying to make my money. I'm not trying to be concerned with people, and I'm not going to argue with people about crazy stuff either. It's hard with that one because, again, somebody's saying that you think you know everything. I'm jump back to this Brian thing. Now, the Hampton Roads area is a vast landmass with different cities. You got Norfolk, Virginia, Portsmouth, Virginia, Virginia Beach, Virginia, Suffolk, Virginia, and Chesapeake, Virginia on the south side. Major, major area. Then for the peninsula, you got Hampton, Newport News, Yorktown, and Williamsburg. Big places. These are big places. And things are spread out. So I remember, like, you had to have a car to go to some of the churches. Most of the churches that I played for were in Portsmouth. I lived in Chesapeake. I had to have a car. Even when I lived on campus, I had to have a car when I had to go to the Old Dominion, Norfolk State classes because they had a building in Virginia Beach where you took dual classes. So it was Norfolk State, Eastern Virginia Medical Center, and Old Dominion. And yeah, it's a big place. So you could be staying by the airport. If you had to get downtown, you could do that a couple of times. If you live by the Tide, which is the train station, if you got a hotel near the Tide, you can go back and forth to Norfolk. But again, the city is vast. When you're talking about clubs and going to different places, you're going to need a car. Now, some people have the option of hiring a driver. Well, that's not always the case with some people. Some people really don't want to go too many places. So it's good. So for instance, if I was staying on Virginia Beach and the only thing I was focusing on is the Virginia Beach area and the pier and the boardwalk, then I probably wouldn't need a car. But if I'm going to go on the campuses and see Hampton University, go to Norfolk State to see that, if I'm going to go to some of the historical sites in Smithfield and those areas, you're going to need a car because those areas are really not close. And it's going to be extremely expensive because you got to think about the cost going and the cost coming back. Now, one way is to do a tour. And if you do a tour, you're going to have a bus or something to take you, and that may work. So I get that. But you all, when I go to Norfolk, Virginia, I'm going to rent a car. I look for my alumni discount, AARP discounts. Usually with rental cars, you can get 30 to 40% discount. So I go ahead and do that. I went to Florida and I rented a Nissan Altima, and that Altima, I had that car from Tuesday to Sunday. So I left for Florida on Tuesday. I picked the car up on Tuesday. I returned the car on Sunday. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I had that car for 6 days. That car was $285. $285 for 6 days, which is really not that bad. Now, I would have paid a whole buttload of money had I did an Uber and Lyft. So it depends on the area if the car is going to be feasible or not. If I went to Boston, I've seen Boston, unless I'm, like I said, unless I'm going to a major place, then I would not rent a car because Boston's train line is great. And the last thing is if I have a friend and they have a vehicle and they say, hey, you can use my vehicle, then I would do that. Now, one thing I would not want my friends to do is to have to pick me up and wait on me. Because number one, I don't want to wait on nobody. Because when I want to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere. If I want to go and get a slice of pizza at 2 a.m., that's what I want to do. And then I don't want to wait for nobody. So, and I don't want to inconvenience anyone. And I don't think people understand that. So the first time Brian was going to Virginia, Ro was going to be driving everywhere. And I'm like, well, why is Ro driving everywhere? Why is Ro going to have to take you? See, again, people don't care about other folk. And they don't care about inconveniencing you. And my thing is, my rule as a guest is to act like you're not even there. So people will want you back. So when I'm a guest at somebody's home, even if I'm staying in their home, I make my bed up. I clean the bathroom. Okay. I want that room and that house to be left better than I found it. If I'm staying out later, I will call that host and say, hey, host, I'm not going to be home. I will see you all in the morning, but I am okay. So the host is not waiting up all night, but it's courtesy to do that. It's courtesy to bring a basket or some type of gift to the host home. Say, hey, thank you for hosting me. And then it's good to leave a thank you card with something in it. Because again, you could have been paying hundreds of dollars to stay at a hotel. But the host is allowing you to use their electric, their water, watch their TV, stay in their room, mostly free of charge. So the least you could do is tell your host thank you. Because you acknowledge that, hey. And most of gracious hosts is going to say, baby, you don't need to do that. But then, you know, if the person insists, you take it because you don't want to insult them because they want to do that. I don't want you to be riding me everywhere because, again, I want to be self-sufficient. Now, if we decide to ride together, that's one thing. But I know people got to work or people, they don't want to be lugging you around everywhere. You can get some time where you all go somewhere together, but I'm not expecting my guests to be taking me all here unless they want to. And you know, and we that's me. Let me see what y'all saying. Pastor Jay, the people are saying the only reason Brian is interested in Ro is because he sees him as a potential lick. Ro is career stable and has a car while Brian can't hold a job for long. I don't know that. So I'm gonna keep okay, I'm moving right along. They are saying Brian is hoping to date Ro so he can have some homes here. Hey, what's up, Janice? Yeah, I don't know that about Brian. I don't really know that. I do think that there is a love-hate relationship. I do think that you if you don't like somebody, you don't keep going over to bother them. And I think that's the issue. You know, you don't really like him, but yet you still trying to call him, and yeah, Brian has ruined his chances of ever dating. Well, like I said, I don't know. I think sometimes people don't have a realistic view of dating. There's some give and there's some take. There's compromise. You can't have everything your way. The other person can't have everything their way. You got to respect people's boundaries. If somebody says, I don't want to be disturbed at this time, you need to respect that, you know? Um, if something were to happen or there is an emergency, then how do we get in contact with each other? There are ways to do that, right? But that bothered you. And then because somebody don't want to have children, well, hell, you don't got children right now. And see, that's that, y'all, I think people really sabotage themselves. First of all, you're always struggling. You're always struggling or you're always having a health crisis. So where's the children going to come in? You act like you wanted children like yesterday, and you can't even take care of yourself today. And I truly believe that situation with Mississippi was sabotage, because how Brian is acting, he acting like, well, I got it together right now and I can adopt 2, 3 kids. And I'm like, dude, you struggling to do XYZ. You always in a therapy or in a hospital or something. There's always a crisis. So when were you trying to get this child? Or were you hoping that these people who were stable could help you so you could live out your dream? Because if you can't do it on your own, then I don't think it's wise to try to get somebody else involved in it. Those are my thoughts. But he act like he was going to get that child tomorrow. I'm like, dude, how are you going to get a child even right now? So you're making something that is really not a short-term goal, a litmus test for somebody. Yeah, it was weird to me, y'all. It was weird to me. And it looked like self-sabotage. I heard the girls may be helping Brian run another, allowing him to now claim that he's going to Jaycation. Well, I'm not helping nobody do it. How he gets here, or how he gets there, whether we are in Nashville or Galveston or California, it's up to him. Brian doesn't understand partnership or compromise, and he's impulsive. How can anyone? Yeah, I'm even looking for and y'all, I just hate to bring it up, but from what we know of Homework Man, that's a one-sided relationship. The guy who was his friend, I don't even know if he still talks to the guy, but when the guy said that he told him he had a house in Virginia, he kind of ghosted that man for a little bit. The Rose situation, the Mississippi guy, it's just like, man, come on. We keep seeing these patterns. Pretty mama till you say, Pastor J, you look like a dean of a college sitting in that chair. Come on now. Come on, Gene. Parenting requires patience, Brian. Well, parenting requires patience. Parenting requires resources. It requires stability. Yeah. Locked and lovely. You are so right. And what really bothered me with that, he was so excited that he had gotten back in contact with that man. He was ecstatic. And I was happy. And then when I actually met Mississippi, I like Mississippi. I like Mississippi because Mississippi was a quick thinker. And when Mississippi said, no, we're not going to share all of this, this is for a private conversation. I'm like, yep, you better go on, Mississippi. I was feeling that. And that man had boundaries. And I think Mississippi had grown. And baby, you can't take people where they haven't been or where they don't want to go. So I think Mississippi said, hey, I got boundaries. And y'all, I saw one of the emails where Mississippi was saying, well, hopefully we can still be friends and stuff. Brian was acting a whole ass with that man. And I'm like, see, and so what he's doing with Roe now, because he couldn't get his way with Mississippi, so it was all or nothing. He's doing the same thing with Roe. Just an observation. Again, not a judgment, just an observation. I don't know where he's going, D Miss O. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. Janice, yeah. Um, Pivot to Jehovah. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not really interested in that. I don't get in people's bedrooms, baby. I'm gonna leave that alone. And so, yeah. And Rose said he ain't no stranger to peen. I said, Ro. Him and Sheffy. I saw Sheffy, and Sheffy was going along with it, baby. Now, Sheffy said she was going on 34. I'm like, for real? Okay. Ooh, these people are looking very mature. I'm like, 34. 34. So anyway. Mm. Baby, it was the 34 for me. Honey, I ain't saying not a word. Baby, she said she was 34. I'm like, come again? I said, what? Sheffy said she 34. Baby, Sheffy said she was 34, girl. I'm like, huh? I said, come again? Girl, she said she was 34. Somebody said she looked older than her. You might mean 43. No, baby, she said 34. Look now, I ain't coming for nobody. But honey, I'm like, no. Y'all didn't see my comment? I said, for real? I said, for real? Girl, that's what she said, honey. She said she just turning 34, baby. Hey, Ava. Baby, she said 34. I said, you lying to me. I used to love that lady called Grandma, and she used to fight with Keisha Mapisha. She said, girl, that ain't your damn hair. You lying to me. I think she passed away, but baby, she was funny. Not enough water and lots of trauma. Ooh, sassy. Sassy, you saw it personally. Baby, when she said 34, I said, Lord Jesus. Baby, I'm getting ready to get these. I'm getting ready to eat some rice cakes in here. Hey, Manuel. Baby, she said 34. I said, huh? I said, for real? Anyway, so I got these rice cakes, y'all. These are the Quaker, and they're 50 cal, so I'm gonna get two of them. So yeah, child. So I'm gonna eat my little rice cake, baby. 54. I don't do mad day reads. I'm very demure. Oh no, baby, it ain't no mad day read. You just, honey, for the mere fact that you said not enough water and lots of trauma, honey. I think you said, I think you said what you needed to say, niece, niece. I think you said what you needed to say, niece, girl. I don't believe in mad day. I ain't never mad. I just tell it. That's said enough right there. Child. Talking about I don't do mad day. Baby, you said that is not enough water and trauma, baby. That was a read right there. Whether it was a mad day read, a happy day read, or just a day read, you said it. It is what it is, Sassy. My God, today. Urban Red Block of favorite. Oh, they are. They is. Not they are, they is. Oh my God. So I got the tomato basil and this everything. Baby, hey, you in the meeting with potential investors. Well, I know what it gives, and you just go with it. That's all. Mm-hmm. But I ain't talking to nobody for no 2 hours and stuff. And then he always said, "Well, why didn't you tell my ass to get off the phone?" Well, we see what you do when people real honest with you. You get mad. Mississippi said he ain't want no children. You can't even afford no children right now, but yet you got mad. The man used D&D. You pissed at him because of that. So if Ro told you, "Hey, I gotta go," you would have been pissed. Y'all know he would have. Well, that wasn't even the case, y'all. He could have been to Virginia and met Roe way before me, but because of his insecurity, he didn't. And y'all, I don't get this thing with Chocolate Bay. Hey, J. Parrish, Chocolate Bay has not said anything about Brian or to Brian, even after the trip. So what's the deal with Chocolate Bay? I mean, he should have been more upset with Shakim. Chocolate Bay ain't never said nothing, bro. Not in that manner. Ooh, it was a chocolate Bay thing. Ooh, Chocolate Bay. Okay. I didn't get that one. Well, he got a lot going on. Well, I um, hmm, I don't know, baby. I don't know. It's just like Rico. Everybody, every time somebody meet Rico, they fall out. I'm gonna bring that back up for real, for real. I'm gonna bring that back up. See, this is the problem. Rico was so extremely hurt with King Roman news, and I'm like, baby, these folk are not your friends. Do you not have real friends in real life? And really, part of your heart goes to those people because you know they are really suffering, and you know they got real issues. But the other part of you say they so damn cantankerous and vile and nasty that you really don't give two damns. And that's why they probably don't have no friends. Let me tell you something. I don't know why. Now, y'all, I know this is a little shady, but I don't know. If you live in the DC area, well, you may not even have to live in the DC area, but they have been doing a special story on this lady who squatted in this lady house. So it was this lady who owned a house in Northeast DC, and it was on Airbnb. And she allowed this lady to stay in. Now the problem is, y'all, you don't let people stay in your house over 30 days. You know, she had to pay again. So it's not a landlord tenant situation. But this lady stayed for 32 days. Baby, she would not move. She stopped paying stuff. The water main was broken, baby. Honey, you saw a Brooklyn butterfly? Baby, this lady would not move. They done put a sign over saying that person don't live there. She got a nasty piece of sheet and put over the sign. Um, the court made the landlord turn the lights back on and stuff. And then this whole got the lights in the baby name. You know, you brought baby. And so then the news reporter went to the court documents and found out that lady was doing this for a lot of people. She owed over like $50,000 in back rent and electric to people. When she was getting ready to get evicted, she went to this Airbnb. You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't let people get mail at your house. Don't let them pay no bills or nothing. No. Just give me the money. Boo, just give me the money. No. Just give me the money. Nope. I prefer cash. Cash is king. So make sure you give me cash. You can't even use a money order. Nope. So, baby, the lady had rights. So finally now, I guess she's gonna move. I'm still following the story. But let me say this, y'all. The landlord said, I know this lady is going through some stuff because she got a daughter and she gonna lose that daughter. But she said, I know she going through. But what got me, y'all, was now she ain't paying rent, but she going on trips. She going on trips and stuff, dancing and stuff, but yet you ain't paying that lady her money. And that's how I feel about some people in this beef sector. You really feel sorry for them because you know they're going through. You really know they're going through, but then you don't because they do stuff like that lady and that lady with that rent. And they always try to take advantage of the system. And they know the system. And so they know they just as guilty. And they try to act like they the victim. Now, what bothered me with the lady who was squatting, she acted like she was the victim and was lying. And when the truth came out, and the reporter said, well, it seems like you've done this. She said she don't want to talk to the reporter no more. Baby, see, that's the real tea right there. Mm, 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 mm. Ava, girl, she was on trips. Then she started, now she got a nonprofit, a 5013C. And you know she ain't doing nothing for nobody. How you going to the nonprofit, but you locked up in the house all the time and you getting food delivered to me? How that working? And then she got a candle business in the thing. So she was making candles, could easily burn that lady house down. And then the lady couldn't do nothing about it. So it was thank God for that reporter because now in DC they trying to change the law. But thank God for that reporter. Thank God for that reporter. Mm. Thank God. Hey, J Boss, thank God for that reporter. So let me tell y'all something. Didn't we have a situation happen on the YouTube streets like that? Can anybody tell me what happened on the YouTube streets like that? Where somebody refused to leave the home and they was going to start squatting. Could y'all name mm. Let me tell y'all something. Dovey is treacherous. Honey, Dovey was going to have just read my book, kicked out her own house so she could live there. Honey, that was some treacherous, baby, that was some rigorous, honey, that was some rigorosity. Baby, see? Baby, you can't do, baby, that's a mess. Now, they got these people who will bother those folks until they move. But again, you all, they don't want people to be get kicked out, because there's a lot of landlords who do some crazy stuff too. But this lady didn't even have a contract. See, I can understand if you have a contract, but the lady came in Airbnb. Airbnb, baby. 32 days, that would have been a red flag right then and there. No, I don't even want you in my house more than a week. And you ain't getting no, you ain't paying for no bills, no nothing. Because all they need is a light bill paid, a mail start coming in, any of that, baby, they'll occupy. Child, that DC is something else. And the lady was like, look, I cannot pay my mortgage at my house and this house as well. She's trying to take me under. And then she had to pay the court costs. See, that would get me. And that lady, you can tell she was in the wrong because she owes that court case when they was looking at her court cases, baby, $50,000. And she done did it a couple of times. Oh yeah, she was a professional squatter with these nonprofits. I mean, it was crazy. So y'all, I don't know, but all you got to do is put in. It has become. It's very popular now, and so this lady, she ain't going nowhere, baby. Her face is plastered. She gonna be couch surfing for the rest of her life because everybody done seen her. It's crazy, crazy work. Before you let somebody in your house, I think the best thing you can do is a criminal background. Child, now look, Hershey. After seeing sinners, vampire, honey, they'll suck you dry. Ooh, let me stop because I don't, Sir King might be in here. Anyway, girl, you better after watching vampires. I can't even imagine that. Baby, though, why did they bring up that situation where he was about to burn that house down and he said it was global warming? Child, and all them cigarette butts all over that place. Hey, baby, he said it was global warming, honey. I holler. But the thing is, y'all saw all them cigarette butts and stuff. And I'm like, this is why we know you ain't working. You can tell when people don't have nothing. Because I'm like, you don't want cigarette butts all over the property and stuff. And other people live there. Think about other people. You know what I'm saying? Cigarette butts all around that window. I'm like, oh Jesus. And then he said global warming, honey. I almost fell out. Not the global warming, boo. I remember it. And then we found out that King Roman paid for that storage. Baby, all he was concerned about was that TV. Them clothes in the back, girl. It was just, and then people swear that you jealous, and I'm like, boo, uh, poor Mr. Raymond. I knew it was not gonna end well for Mr. Raymond. Again, we know people ain't all truthful, but I thought Mr. Raymond had that thing plotted out right. He showed it. Child, Mr. Raymond was eating groceries and buying groceries, eating groceries and buying groceries. Jesus, my God, today. And see, Mr. Raymond, he set you up just like that. Because again, you trying to now, Mr. Raymond did help. You were so happy to be in that clean kitchen, and you was smiling, you was grinning and stuff. And but Mr. Raymond acted like he was benevolent and he was just from the goodness of his heart. But Mr. Raymond needed some services as well. Mr. Raymond said gas, wait, well, what is it? Gas, grass, ass, nobody rides for free. Mm-hmm. Gas, grass, and ass. Nobody rides for free, honey. And the girls, honey, this is when I knew these hoes was detectives. Girl, they had put Rico over Mr. Raymond house, baby. They had the entrance over, baby. Mm-mm. Well, I hope Mr. Raymond got his throat checked, honey. It seemed like a lot was going on with them cakes. Like them cakes had some yeast in it, honey, some bacteria and fungi in it. You know what happened? You eat some bad cakes, you get sick. Wasn't it your Brooklyn butterfly? Mm-hmm. Oh, baby, I remember a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, look, y'all, I gotta go. I'll be back on later. I got a few things to do, but y'all be blessed. I'll be talking to y'all later. There's a lot going on. So I'll talk to y'all in a few. Bye.